I have the wrong.
You have the wrong?
You have the
I
wrong.
plugged the microphone in. Okay, here
Why
we go.
would
Now I can
you?
hear.
Why would you do that?
Huh? Accidentally.
Are you okay?
Why would you have the wrong?
Okay, just
You got it now?
Yep.
Are you so right now?
Yeah.
Yeah? You sure?
I try
glad
to be.
hear it.
Got to eat my first grilled food of the year.
Oh.
So yesterday, so that was fun. John was there, but he wasn't.
Why wasn't there?
He went to Fleet Farm and then he went to his room and I ate burgers with his roommates. And then we talked afterwards. But it was good. And then we watched Secondhand Lions.
Oh, that's a good one.
I was like, maybe someday we can do an episode on it, but I had
I've
to
been
think
meaning to
about
rewatch that before I pitched it as an idea.
it. Yeah. It still holds up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good fun movie. It's like they don't quite make them like they used to. You don't just get a random solid one-off Disney movie anymore.
Was that Disney?
I think so.
Maybe it was one of their...
Back when they made just regular old live-action movies.
Maybe it was like Touchstone or Hollywood or something.
Yeah.
Some side thing
Or I
owned
thought
by
it was
Disney.
Disney.
Okay.
Let me double check that. Check
And
my
that's not what we're
sources
gonna
here.
do
I
an
want to make
episode
sure
on
we're
today, but
presenting accurate information and not just three people's opinions.
what about you, Riley? How's seminary land?
Oh, this is getting to be the part of the year where all of the things are beginning to happen all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a gorgeous weekend this weekend. And I have had absolutely no motivation to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just started working on a paper that's due basically by Thursday morning. That is 1,500 words. I just started at about 350, so...
How does this only have 60% on Rotten Tomatoes? This is a travesty.
Those film critics don't know what they're talking about.
No.
I suppose like when you're coming up on Easter break, it's a little difficult to be motivated.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh dang it, I just want to know.
And, me being a northerner, I associate this kind of weather with late May, which means I'm free.
Your brain
which
is shut
means
off at this point.
I could turn my brain off at that point. So I have to consciously fight against that.
Oh, it was New Line Cinema, that's right.
There you go.
Okay, not
New
Disney.
Line.
I don't know why I thought it was Disney, but anyway, sorry. We're done with Secondhand Lines now.
Getting the second-hand
we had a little-
information out of the way.
Yep.
We had a little Beltane party yesterday.
Oh,
Oh.
Several of us at the seminary are reading or have read the Wheel of Time series.
Hmm.
And that's the little spring last day of winter, first day of spring celebration in the books is called Beltane.
Aha.
very cool.
So we had a celebration with grilled meats and
Suppose
other-
as of when we're recording this, today's the first day of spring. So that's
Hmm.
lovely. It even looks like spring outside. It's a whopping 50-something degrees and raining. So,
That's odd for North Dakota.
yeah, it was nice. It was nice yesterday. It was a little windy, but got out and shot baskets with Mike, so that was good. Move around a little bit. And then on Friday, I did, as all good Catholics did, I had meat because it was the Solemnity of St. Joseph. Solemnity. And I'd been doing the St. Joseph's consecration with a group of people, so we finished that up. So that was cool. Glad I did it. It was a good.
in fact, you are not allowed to fast on a solemnity.
Uh-oh.
It is against the law. So do not be fasting on those solemnities, folks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Discord just froze for a moment, but I think we're good now.
Yeah, we should be fine.
Yeah.
No, this week was my spring break. And so from Wednesday onward, we had a guest at our house. Isaac came to visit, my younger brother. So that was cool. We got to hang out. What are you
Don't
doing?
worry about it.
Don't worry about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I went and picked him up in halfway between here and home, and we hung out. We did a little shopping, picked up some like DVDs and CDs and stuff, and watched a little My Hero Academia because he's halfway through that show. That was fun. Got to nerd out with him about that.
Mm-hmm.
That was
I was
with a random
wondering
couple
where
episodes.
that came from on my watch history.
I was
all
gonna
of
tell
a
you. It's
sudden.
like, we watched
I'm
a
like-
couple episodes of that.
I figure somebody started watching
Mhm.
it again for something, either to like prep for when we do the episode eventually. or
Isaac
whatever,
was
but-
halfway through season 3, and so it was like, hey, if you want to catch the next couple episodes and just talk about them, we can. So that's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
You can see where exactly he left off.
Yep.
So yeah, and then I drove him home over the weekend, and I hung out with the family. It was just a solid weekend home. I'm gonna be headed home next weekend because Isaac turns 21. This was kind of
Yep.
his a light bro hangout time before he turned 21.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't hit up all the bars yet, but
Nah.
then again, it's
Not like
also
he'd want
Lent,
to.
so
Not like either of you are hitting up bars, people.
Yeah.
no, very much not.
Unless there are other people we know
Unless-
that are.
Unless John is dragging us.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true. And if that bar is the turf, and if that bar is on a Wednesday,
Or if that bar is Front Street.
Front Street is good.
That's a
Front
nice, it's a
Have I
nice
been to
cozy
Front
little
Street?
place.
I know John
Yeah,
really
you-
likes Junkyard, but I haven't been there yet.
You've been there with me twice, I think, Nathan. We went there
Okay.
for my birthday party.
Oh yeah, Front Street, the one
Yep.
with the board
The
game
one with the
tables. That's the
games.
one. That's the one.
And then we had knocked back a pint in that back porch area 2 summers ago, or no, the last summer I think. I forget.
Yeah, it was last summer. While
Yep.
we were...
No, it was before COVID, I think.
Yeah,
Well, of course
sure.
it was because a bar was open.
Well, yeah, but I mean like.
So it
some
would have
things
had to
been-
be 2019 then.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yep.
have been summer of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good times. There's some nice spots in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to. I haven't been to a mug night in a while, so and then partially, giving up the Alecky Hall for Lent, and then everyone I know is on Exodus 90, so it's not like if I wasn't doing it for Lent, I would be able to drink with people anyway. So
There's no one to do it with, so it's like,
Yeah.
what's the point at that point?
Yep. But yeah, looking forward to that after Easter. So.
I will
Um,
be coming home in 1 week's time.
Oh yeah. Be
So
picking you
we
up
can
from the
do
airport
a
on
live
Friday.
episode next week.
Oh yeah. And then Holy Week.
Well,
Actually,
then
yeah, that'll be
Holy
during
Week.
Holy. That'll be our Holy Week episode, and then we might have to
no,
do
it won't be. It'll be our...
Yeah, next week isn't Holy Week. Next Sunday
It
is
will.
Palm
We
Sunday.
will. It will come out during Holy Week.
Yeah,
but we
oh,
will.
sure. Are we gonna do a break for Holy Week, or are we
I'll
gonna
be
do like
around.
2 episodes?
I mean, as long as we may not record on Holy, I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there,
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You guys
Figure
will
it
find
out.
out.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
for sure.
but that'll be fun. It'll be fun to have you back. I'll be. Yeah, should be good times.
But that's I don't know.
Not a ton else going on at the moment. Just projects at work and just living the chill life, as it were. As it are and as it do.
Mm-hmm.
John is complaining about too much anime in our episodes, so even though he didn't formally lodge a complaint at palladiumpapist@gmail.com.
Nope, he didn't. But he sort of semi-lodged a complaint at Palladium Papist at James and at Riley, apparently. So
In
don't
our
worry, we are stepping up
collective group chat.
with a little bit of variety. So we are the Palladium Papists.
Speaking of variety,
Yeah, we are the Palladium Papists. I'm James.
I'm Nathan,
And I'm Riley.
and today we're going to get a little philosophical with The Sixth Sense.
In a world where one man will decide whether to pull a lever and kill one man, or not pull a lever and allow 5 people to die? Find out in Philosophical.
Bruce Willis and Haley Joel Osment. This was back when Bruce Willis has hair, by the way.
Yeah, like actually
in 1999.
good hair. This is before he went baldo mode.
So The Sixth Sense was released in 1999. It was written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, or
There's a Y in there.
Shyamalan. Anyway, so
Second song by him, Do the Twist. And do the twist. What a
so
hoot.
anyway,
This movie is not a hoot. That's not the point.
well, the twist is the point, but
Right.
we'll talk about the twist when we get to the twist. How about?
Yeah.
But it doesn't start with a twist. It starts with Bruce Willis playing Dr. Malcolm Crowe, who is at home with his wife, having just accepted an award from the city of Philadelphia because he's spent the last 10 years as a child psychologist, and he's just helped a lot of kids, and he's a really good doctor and really good at what he
passionate about
does.
it.
And loves what he does. His wife's like, you deserve this, honey. You've put everything second for these kids, even me. You've earned this privilege of being celebrated as a psychologist. So they're having a lovely night. They're drinking, they're carrying on and stuff. But then they discover someone has broken into their house, and it turns out the person that broke into their house is one of Dr. Malcolm's former patients. He's just very disturbed right now. He's freaking
He's
out.
an adult at this point.
He's an adult at this point, but he's still freaking out. Apparently, what Dr. Malcolm told him and how he advised him was not helpful at all.
Gave him some meds, but that didn't solve the problem.
It didn't solve any of his problems. He confronts him like, "You failed me, Dr. Crowe. You failed me. You didn't help. You know why you're scared to be alone? Because I know he's saying freaky stuff over here in the corner. It's like, hey, I'm gonna talk you down. Let's get over this. But it didn't end. It doesn't end well because the guy turns around and pulls a gun on Dr. Crowe, shoots him, and then shoots himself. And that's how that day ends.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to like a year later, and we see Dr. Crowe, and he's looking at a profile of a new patient.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid has like all the same mannerisms, all the same diagnosis and psychoses of the guy from the beginning of the movie. And so Dr. Crowe confronts this kid who's named, I have his name written down, give me a second, Cole Sear.
Yep.
Played by Haley Joel Osment.
How's his last name spelled?
Sear. Not
Interesting.
Seeer, which
Right,
is...
but when you think about...
Right, obvious setup is obvious.
Obvious little bit of wordplay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he tries to talk to him. It's like, hey, we had an appointment today, but you didn't show up, and so I'm here to talk to you. And but the kid's kind of distant and kind of tries to avoid him, and he doesn't really get very far talking to him. They're like in a church, and the kid's playing with his like army men and stuff. But we get a little bit of a... I forget exactly how the exchange went.
Well, he's chatting with him, and he's like, you're wearing glasses without any lenses in them. He's like, yeah, they were my dad's. I took the lenses out because they made my eyes hurt, or something like that.
So this is a recent divorced household, which is a characteristic from the other guy's profile, and so just starting to get to know the kid a little bit, but the kid's slow to open up.
Mm-hmm.
But over the next and this kid is very socially very awkward. He's he has trouble communicating with people, right? We later see him in his house, in his apartment with his mom. And his mom will leave for a minute, and she'll come back, and all the cupboards are open, and just weird stuff like that. And he's constantly afraid people will think he's weird, think he's a freak, think he's...
The apartment's also like constantly freezing cold in there.
Oh, yeah. No matter how high they turn up the temperature and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of weird things surround the kid. He gets picked up by a friend by his classmate, I should say, to get walked to school, but it turns out it's all an act because...
only as long as they can be seen from the window by his mom.
Right. So he really doesn't have any friends.
He's paying a kid to pretend to be his friend.
Right. So he's very isolated from everybody at school, and he freaks out from time to time. He'll stare off in the distance and not respond for a minute, but then
it's like, do you guys know what this building used to be?
When he's in school, yeah.
He's like, yeah, they used to hang people here. What? No, this was a courthouse. Like, yeah, no, they used to hang people here.
Like, how do you know that?
Like, how
Why
does
do
he
you
know that? Yeah,
like,
and it's like a very sort of unsettling
he just
exchange with his history teacher.
So yeah, just a bunch of things that, like, he's seeing weird things, he's feeling weird things, he doesn't know how to communicate with people, he doesn't want to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he's talking with Dr. Crow some more, right? He comes to visit several times, and slowly gets him to open up, and that the fact that the kid has a secret that he doesn't want to tell anyone because they'll look at him differently or think he's weird, right? He doesn't want to be looked at as a freak, but at the same time, he has to tell somebody, or else it's kind of going to eat him up from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, like, partway through the film, there's a scene where him and his mom are at another kid's birthday party, and the other kid didn't really invite him. He was forced to by his dad or something. Just because nobody really likes him at school because he's weird. So two other kids kind of gang up on him. He's like wandered off in the house and is hearing voices from like coming in the walls and like the dumbwaiter or whatever.
Yeah. And there's like this cabinet in particular that he's hearing some noises coming from, and these other kids are like, hey, let's shove him in there and lock him in it.
Which was very not a good idea, because as soon as they lock the door behind him, he starts really freaking out. And it's loud downstairs, but he screams just loud enough for his mom to pick up on him and try and help get him out of the cupboard and stuff. And he's freaking out, and suddenly it goes quiet, and then they get the door unlocked, and he's very freaked out and kind of beat up. So she takes him to the hospital, and he's fine, like physically. He's got some cuts and scrapes on his arms that the doctor is a little inquisitive about, and the mom's like, "No, I'm a good mom. What do you think? I hit my kid? No, I want to know what's wrong." And it's like, well, he's just fine. He's just tired, you know. So in the hospital room, Dr. Crow comes to visit, and finally their relationship is at a point where the kid decides to confide in Dr. Crow. The first major twist of the film, I see dead people. I not like, you know, like ghosts, like they think they're alive. They don't know they're dead. They're walking around. They only see what they want to see. And they talk to me and they freak me out, and
they hurt him.
And they hurt him sometimes.
That's where the weird cuts and scrapes are coming from. And I guess another thing too is that during all this, like, Dr. Malcolm he's under pressure. He really wants to help this kid, you know. Right. And then he's also kind of under stress because he feels like his wife is becoming more distant, and he can't.
They're very disconnected from each other.
They're
in the same house all the time, but they barely ever interact, right?
Yeah, and she's like sort of seeing another guy, and it's, you know, there's all this pressure on him, so he really wants to help this kid to try to feel vindicated.
He needs to help the kid, but he also wants to salvage his marriage, and he like shows up to their anniversary dinner. He sits, and she doesn't even look at him. She looks past him, and it's just like he's trying to explain, "No, honey, I'm busy with this kid, and he reminds me of the other guy," and she just doesn't pay attention to him, takes the check, and leaves with little more than a happy anniversary. So it's this whole scenario, and so that's weighing on Dr. Crow. So we get to we spend a little more time. It's just kind of a slow paced movie where we just kind of spend time
Yeah.
with the characters.
The one thing that's kind of interesting is that there's like this Cole has this little tent he's rigged up in his room that has a sign on it that says "Keep Out," and when he's being haunted, he'll like go in there and it's full of like crucifixes and statues of Jesus and Mary and different things like that. And he's I think when they first meet in the church,
Right on his way out, Cole steals a Mary statue.
yeah, and then like Cole is also like he's saying stuff in Latin, and then Dr. Malcolm is like, so why does your soldier guy there speak Latin? And then he like writes down what the kid said, and it's like, out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. So like, you know, this kid's like very desperate to get this haunting thing out of his life because he's under a lot of stress and duress.
And so like for the rest of the movie, we get to see what he sees, and sometimes it's a little gruesome. You can see how they died and stuff, and it's this whole thing.
And Dr. Malcolm, he's like, man, he's saying he talks to dead people. I might have to give this kid meds, you know. I don't know if there's anything else I can do for him. But then
he's going through his old notes on the other case, and he comes across a recording of like a tape recording he made, and there's like a space where he like gets up and leaves to do something else, and he comes back and he notices it's gotten cold in the room in terms of the thermostat. But while listening at the highest volume to like what was happening while he was gone.
Yeah, take a phone call or something.
Right, he could hear somebody talking
patient.
to the kid, and the kid speaking back in a hushed voice. So it's so finally he's convinced. Oh shoot, there might be some kind of
because that's sort of the
on.
sign when like there's a dead person in the room communicating. Like it gets really cold, and
particularly when they're upset or agitated.
And there's like this sort of a like they don't bring it up specifically, but there's almost like this sort of rainfall noise that happens in the background, even if it's not raining, like this sort of a staticky white noise.
That might have
the
been
room gets
just
cold.
a filmmaking technique to just
to
signal
convey
to the
something
audience
that's going on.
Maybe not diegetic at all.
Nearly imperceptible, but still there. Yeah, but so yeah, that's kind of the mechanics of what happens when this haunting is going on.
Dr. Crow comes back to see Cole, and he's like, you know what? I believe you now. So now we need to talk about what we do about this. And so he asks the kid, well, why do they come to you? What do they do? And they come to the conclusion that maybe they just want to talk. Because sometimes it just seems like they want to talk to him. And so he's like, well, what if it's more
it's
dangerous?
kind of freaky because these people are like appear to him in the state in which they died.
Right. Whether that's, with a open back of the head or with a just
burns
and stuff, and it's just
crazy things.
So slightly gruesome, but so they agree that maybe they can only find out, what they want by talking to them. So the next time this happens, there's this girl that appears to him, and she's in a constant state of vomiting. Basically, she's constantly throwing up and being like, "I'm feeling better, a little bit." And so they follow her to her wake, which is being held at her at her home. And in her home, they find a videotape that she made.
She directs
them to where it is, and she instructs them to give the tape to her father. And in the tape, it is revealed that the reason she was sick the whole time and why she died was because her mother was slowly poisoning her. And so that is...
She had like set up like the family home TV camera to, record her playing with puppets, and then like her mom comes into the room to give her food and then doesn't notice the camera, and so she spikes her drink, or she spikes her soup or something like that and gives it to her. So the father's like, why did so the father finds out that his wife basically killed their daughter.
It allows, it brings closure to the family. It reveals the truth, and like kind of squares things off for the girls, like so she can pass on. So then after we've after that sequence where we see what good Cole can do with his gift, as it turns out, isn't a curse.
Mm-hmm.
They're having one last interaction where Dr. Crow, and Cole are basically saying goodbye because now that they've figured it out, it's like, well, I don't have to help you anymore. I can move on and stuff. And the kid gives him some advice because they had talked earlier about the fact that Dr. Crow can't really connect with his wife anymore for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so Cole goes, well, why don't you just talk to her while she's asleep? She can hear you while not knowing and talk to you without knowing. And she's like, okay. So he gets home and finds her sleeping on the couch and starts to kind of open up to her about, hey, I'm sorry I've been distant. I'm sorry I've been... And she responds with why did you leave?
Well, she's still asleep.
She's still asleep, but she's kind of sleep talking like, I miss you. Why did you leave? And he's like, wait, I left? She drops his wedding ring, and suddenly it's like, he's like,
I'm not wearing my wedding ring.
I'm not wearing my wedding ring. And then he starts seeing like other things from
There's this door in the house that he's consistently not been able to open.
But there's a bookcase in front of it that he never saw before because he's seeing only what he wants to see.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he was dead the whole time. The gunshot wound at the beginning of the film it killed him. And you couldn't see it from the front. It mostly bled out in the back, which is why whenever... So, yeah, it turns out he's been dead the whole time, and all he needed was the closure of finding out where he went wrong with the
helping another kid who was like his patient, and then
then also
saying goodbye to his wife,
making up to his wife about no, you were never second to my work. I always loved you, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the movie fades out. End of movie.
Yeah. So that's The Sixth Sense.
And that is The Sixth Sense. Spoilers.
Sorry, but the movie's like what?
20-something
years old?
22
like,
years old.
I think it was 90.
18
I
think.
I thought it was
like
Wasn't
90,
it? No.
98 or
99?
something like that.
No, maybe I had secondhand lines in my head.
Oh, yeah. That one was 2003. Because 1999. Yep.
Yeah.
99, okay.
Yep.
So some cool stuff
22.
about the movie. Obviously, if you don't know the twist going into it, it's actually really well set up.
Mm-hmm.
So that like there's several scenes that
sort
are
of threw you
framed in
off.
such a way that make it look like Dr. Crow is interacting with someone or has interacted with someone, but you look back and see no,
He actually wasn't.
there is no actual talking. He was just awkwardly sitting in the side or in the background. The only character he talks to aside from the beginning is Cole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
because Cole sees dead people and Dr.
Right.
Malcolm is dead.
and so all the little things that lead up to that and pay
Even
off.
like him reaching for the check so he can pay for his wife instead, and she says happy anniversary. She's not actually talking to him. She's just mourning him at the restaurant he proposed to her in.
And there's a scene where his wife is in the shower and he's also in the bathroom. He's looking in the medicine cabinet, and there's antidepressants,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like weighs on him because it's like, well, what am I doing wrong? Well, what you're doing wrong is you're sticking around.
And you're
There's
dead.
a ghost in the house,
Mhm.
bringing the mood down and bringing the temperature down. She's constantly shivering when she's asleep on the couch watching your wedding videos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there was a lot of really great setup for that payoff.
Mm-hmm. And then when you go back and think about it, well, and then the movie kind of like shows a little.
It does a little
montage
bit of
the
a
moments.
recap, but like on a second viewing, it's like it's interesting to see all the little places where
Yeah.
they were hinting at it.
I mean, unfortunately, I'd had the twist spoiled for me. But then, so like as I was watching the movie, I was kind of looking for like these things as they went along. So
Yeah.
it's still, the payoff was still
I
satisfying.
mean, 22 years removed, and it being like, and the plot twist of this film being the thing that people remember it for,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing people remember the director for.
Yeah.
It's hard to avoid,
Mm-hmm.
but it's I didn't have it spoiled for me the first time, so like when they made the reveal at the end, I was like, oh, that was really cool. I audibly groaned, oh.
Audibly groan. As opposed to inaudibly groaning.
That's how far this joke has gone. Is that things that are actually audible, we have to
we have to
explain
note
there.
as audible. Audibly explaining the joke. Oh goodness.
So yeah, I think one of the biggest cool things about the film is the way it treated the twist,
Mm-hmm.
and also like the fact that it was kind of set up when the kid explained how the ghosts worked.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh, and then there's sort of a thing at the end too, where because like his mom, Cole's mom, has been really like trying to figure out what's the matter with him and why he won't talk to her and why he's like always so stressed out.
And why things are so weird at the house, things keep getting moved around.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to get him to fess up and say that he did it because there's only one other
There was
person
like
in
this.
the house.
There's like this
Like a-
necklace or something or
yeah.
bracelet that was her mom's that keeps moving into his room, and she's like, you can just fess up and tell me you stole it, and I'll forgive you. And he's like, I can't. I didn't steal it. And so turns out his grandma had been visiting him because she had passed a while back, and so they're sort of sitting in the car. They're backed up in traffic because there's an accident up ahead.
And the mom's
like,
like,
"I'm
I
ready."
hope nobody got hurt. And he's like, yeah, somebody did get hurt. There was a woman on her bicycle and she died. And she's like, really? Yeah. And then cuts to a shot of him. And
She's out. What? How do you know
dead
that?
person's
She's
out the
standing
window.
outside my window. And so
And so he freaks out his mom a little bit.
he's
but
like,
then,
I'm ready to communicate with you now.
And there's this, he gives her like a message from grandma, talk like that.
Something. Well, she had.
There was like a
There was like a
dance
moment when she
recital
was-
or something
Yeah.
in her childhood that her mom missed because she thought,
Her mom
Her
missed
mom missed
because
because
she
they
was
were
mad
mad.
at her.
but,
But then it turns out her mom secretly went and watched her dance recital. And then she said something to her mom at her grave every day or something like that.
she asked like at her mom's funeral, she asked something, and the answer was every day.
Mm-hmm.
And
And Cole's like, what was the question, Mom? And she's like, I asked her if she was proud of me.
if I made her proud.
If I made her proud. Like, she had never told anyone that she said this. So that's when she
So
knew, like, oh, dang, like, Cole's
this
actually...
is actually legit freaky,
Mhm.
but he had information nobody else could have possibly known.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a nice little that was cool too.
Mm-hmm.
The ending to that.
So, yeah. So with that addendum, that's the Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much the Sixth Sense.
Audible addendums.
There's not a lot that actually happens in the story of the film, but it's more about how it's told.
Yeah.
That I think is cool. And like, because it really, not a lot happens over the course of the whole movie,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes the whole movie to tell this really simple story.
Well, it's a suspense thriller, right?
right.
Semi-horror, not really horror, but there's elements that are scary to it.
Right. So the most of the satisfaction comes from the mystery and the build up of it.
And the resolution of and the big twists and all that.
Right.
Which has now become like M. Night Shyamalan's signature.
To
thing.
the detriment of some of his movies, even where it's
Yeah.
like
It's like, okay, does this need
he's
to have a
the
twist?
guy known for twists, but not every
So-
story requires a twist.
And so now everyone's looking for twists. So at that point, is it really a twist?
Right.
Is it really all that surprising? But so Riley, have you seen The Sixth Sense?
I have not seen The Sixth Sense.
Oh.
I have been meaning to see it. It's one that I have. I mean, I had that thing. I had known about the spoiler, the
Mhm.
major twist to it. So
Sure.
that I had already heard. So it's not like you guys ruined it for me or anything.
That's good.
Yeah.
After we explain the whole movie, wait, have you seen it?
Have you seen it? No, I
This is a spoiler-full podcast.
right. So
Always has been.
Maybe the real twists were the ghost friends we made along the way.
actually, no.
But really,
So Nathan, what did you like about The Sixth Sense?
I talked about it.
he just got done talking.
I got the
about
cool
what he
stuff
liked.
done. We
Oh.
talked about the twist. We talked about the
Okay.
overall.
We'll get into this when we probably get to the beauty part, but I really appreciated the cinematography.
There were some really cool ways the shots were framed, and it was all felt really intentional.
Very, very intentional, very unconventional too. Like, which
Like,
makes sense because, like,
It's a suspense
you have
movie,
your
right? They want to make you feel a little uneasy when the ghosts are around.
Mm-hmm. And like even when they're not, like just different weird angles and like the thing that's like, since this is the type of thing I pay attention to when I watch movies, there's like the opening few shots. I at some point I'll look this up and see if there's anything to it. But like in the opening sequence, you see Malcolm's wife come downstairs to the wine cellar and grab a bottle of wine. But the whole time during the whole sequence, she's framed between two. She's always framed between like two lines of something, perpendicular lines,
No.
horizontal,
Not horizontal.
vertical lines.
Vertical lines.
Yeah, she's always framed between two vertical lines.
Not for the rest of the movie. It doesn't.
No, but like in that first half of the movie, she's always like framed by two vertical lines. I'm like, is this on purpose?
She's like a focus of something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have to look into that, but that grabbed my attention right away. And then just like the top down camera angles are used a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Camera shake and movement and like sort of.
Well,
not like Are we
going to
not
go
like
into
Blair
depth
Witch.
about this?
Okay,
in
fine.
Or are we
We
gonna?
won't.
We can
Fine.
start the transcendentals if you want to get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's the sort of thing I really enjoyed. Okay.
This is,
Well, let's start with truth then.
This is there's two major things here. We got from Cole's perspective and from Dr. Crow's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Cole, the truth in the story for him is like the finding meaning in his what's
in his struggles and his sufferings,
right, and the strugglings and sufferings of others, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it feels like a curse because it's scary and weird, but it's actually his gift.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's helping these
he has
people find peace and pass on.
Right, he has this unique ability.
Gee, that sounds awfully familiar. I wonder if we've covered something like that before.
A little bit. And why do we keep doing these back to back? Because it was fun. Didn't we do Hollow Knight like right before Dark Souls 2?
No, we did, and then we talked.
It was a couple weeks after.
Okay.
But we talked about Dark Souls for like a month before we actually covered it.
But we did there have been a couple of times where we covered very similar stories right back to back. But I've just been
We're on a roll.
It's not because we did the other. We
were just like, let's
Angel
watch
Beats.
The Sixth Sense.
It's because I've been meaning to do. This
I hadn't
movie for
seen
a
it,
while.
so Nathan's like, I'm gonna get it, and we're gonna watch it. So we did. Anyway, back to truth.
Anyway.
And for Cole, it's this acceptance of his gift and realizing that it's his purpose to help these people through their suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And for Dr. Crow, it was about letting go. It was about coming to terms with his failures,
mistake and then like
his failures professionally, his failures with his wife, and coming to terms with that, and then letting go to move on, so that she could move on too. She was unable to really find a relationship after.
There was this guy who's like really cares about her, and he's like, because he doesn't know he's dead, he's like, is she having an affair? But now that he understands what it's like, I think when he says goodbye to her, it's like, you'll feel different in the morning.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he couldn't let go. So
he
she
realized
was
that
kind of stuck on him too.
Yeah, his inability to let her go was having an adverse effect on her. So
it was he did the best thing for her by letting her go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the main points.
Yep.
It was
goodness. What is the goodness that can be found in this movie?
I think like with the relationship between Dr. Crow and Cole, and then Cole and his mom, because you get this really kind of natural feeling growth between Cole and Dr. Crow, where they just kind of slowly.
He's obviously like a very talented therapist,
right? So he's really good with kids, but also Cole doesn't trust therapists. He doesn't trust him because, of course, Cole knows he's a ghost, but because nobody else sees him and he's the only one that can talk to him.
I don't know if he knows that he's a ghost right away.
I think maybe not right away, but there's a point in the film where he seems to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is, well, one thing I actually noticed is in the final scene, you realize when he was shot, most of it bled out in his back instead of where he was shot in the front, right?
Mm-hmm.
We never see Dr. Crow from the back unless he's wearing a trench coat or a jacket or something.
Mm-hmm.
But every time he's not wearing a shirt, when he's wearing just a shirt, we only see him from the front,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Yeah,
just
because
really,
like the bullet's exit wound or something is the only part that bled.
yeah. So it was really cleverly framed the whole
Mhm.
time.
And he's wearing the exact same outfit in the entire movie, like
Right.
plus or minus a jacket.
Which it was the jacket he removed right before, getting shot. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it was, so yeah, I think just kind of watching them get to know each other and help, and
His
Dr.
mom like genuinely wants to figure out what's wrong with him and help him. You
Right,
know?
she makes several attempts to reach out and to him or to people that were around him during whatever incident just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She's just
And
kind of
then-
at her wit's end. She's a single mom trying to do her best for her kid.
Yeah.
Right. And she feels like, if something goes wrong, they're going to take him away. And that's the last thing that Cole needs. That's because, I lost the sentence.
Uh-huh.
But it's this really genuine feeling relationship between him and his mom, and the really genuine feeling relationship between him and Dr. Crow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like,
Yeah.
good.
Good.
It's goodness.
And like the fact that once Cole comes to terms with his gift, he uses it to help people find peace and
Right.
move
It's like,
on.
because that feels like it's the purpose of his power, of his, not powers, but like his sixth sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's implied they're like headed to the girl's house for her wake so that they can figure out what she wants to tell them, and she came from way out of town.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite a long distance, so it's like people go out of their way to
Find him.
And so you kind of see Dr. Crow like almost leave an impression on him
Mm-hmm.
in a way, because it's
like his desire to help people.
exactly.
So yeah. Beauty. Okay, now I can talk.
Now you can talk about
Now I
the
can talk
camera
about the camera work, yeah.
because
So yeah, some of the stuff I've already mentioned, but yeah, there's like the weird camera angles and the camera shake isn't really like a Blair Witch Project kind of thing, but it's just like kind of it's like a handheld versus like a Steadicam sort of thing. All the camera work conveys what it helps convey the emotions of the scene, like the unsettling nature of everything. Because most movies you have like your standard, still shots or like smooth motion shots. You typically don't see like top down, especially isn't used a ton, but it's used a bunch, especially when following Dr. Malcolm around. It's like to kind of show you like something's kind of off about what's going on with him. And then the different well, because there's like visual cues and stuff that happen in the movie, but there's also like different framing devices and stuff that kind of tell you things are off as well.
mm-hmm.
The music doesn't really stand out a ton, but
it
it's
just
like
sets an atmosphere.
mm-hmm.
That's what this kind of film benefits the most from. So that's what
Mhm.
it gets.
Yeah. So overall, it's like I was really impressed with like the
Yeah,
camera work.
it's impressively made. It's like everything feels intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I guess that's kind of part of the unity of it all.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
Unity, everything serves the story and
This
tells
was writ-
a united.
Yeah.
Gives it. Yeah.
it was written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So he had a story he wanted to tell, and everything is in service to that story.
Nothing. There wasn't really any dead weight. Everything felt intentional.
Right.
I mean, I was like about midway through the movie, I was trying to figure out like, okay, so where's this going? Like he sees dead people, like where are we going with this? But and I think now that I think on it though, like I think that's just sort of reflective of Dr. Malcolm just being at a loss as to how to help this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of conveys that. But yeah, no, everything, there wasn't really any dead weight. Everything was done intentionally and
Like most
tastefully
of
and subtly.
a lot of the scenes that would seem incidental at first come into play later when there's a plot twist or when there's a revelation that's like, oh, so that's why he was the kid, he would know what the school was previously used for and stuff, you know?
Because he's literally seeing the people who died in the building.
Right. So it's very like guided by a single vision, and everything serves the purpose of the story, and it's really well put together.
Yeah, good film. There's a reason why it's considered like a timeless classic. So,
I mean, as long as it isn't spoiled for you.
yeah, I mean, good luck with that.
Right.
I mean, you're listening to this podcast, so it's already been spoiled.
But also, there's a reason it's talked about in terms of spoilers
because it made such an impact.
It's such a well done twist, right? I think, I don't know, plot twists are like kind of can be predictable or a trope, right? But like when they're done well, and when they
stand
earned,
out,
right? They stand out.
It sort of captured that feeling like when you read like a Sherlock Holmes book or something, where like now that you have that final piece of the puzzle, you can see the whole picture, like in the big climactic moment. Because like, you know, Dr. Malcolm, he's like watching, you know, he's standing by his wife who's asleep, and he realizes, oh crap, I'm dead. You know, the room's cold. He can see her breath. You know, there's all these different signs that are pointing to like, I am the dead person in the room that's causing this stuff to happen. So good stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know. I'm not like a horror person, but this is thrillers and suspense movies I can get behind. This was more of a suspense movie to me than a horror movie.
There's some light horror elements. I mean, there's some gore in the ghost makeup occasionally, but like it's more about the suspense and the mystery and the not being sure of what's going on with the kid and the kind of just real human concern for just a kid in a bad situation with, you know, bruises on his arms. It's like, oh, this is just kind of a little real.
Well, and then the kid, what's his name? What's the kid's name? Like his actual name?
Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah, he's like a really talented actor as a kid, so you can really kind of see like how much like stress he's under and just desperate to make it stop. So, yeah, good stuff. Well,
overall solid film.
Yeah, can recommend. So I guess
even with the spoilers, it's fun to see
how they pulled it off.
Any closing comments on your end?
Nope.
All right.
Nice.
Well,
I feel like I have to see it to comment any further
right.
on it.
Yeah.
We should cover something we've all seen every so often.
Yeah, that'd be useful.
Yeah,
probably.
We should probably do that.
We probably should.
Be
It's
that
been a minute.
as it may, thanks for listening to the Palladium Papists. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Papists. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, or suggestions for future episodes, email us at palladiumpapists@gmail.com. Or if you know us, you can just give us crap and we'll respond. So
Please send it to our email so it's official and on record.
And so we can actually get emails.
Should we read
So we can feel good about ourselves for getting emails.
Because I don't think we have.
We can go through all of our WordPress and Google emails on air if we want to.
Oh gosh, that'd be kind of fun. I don't think we have yet to get like a non-account set up email on that address. So please
Yes,
email.
that is true.
I might check it. You never know.
I check it every so often.
Okay. Well, adios, ladies and gentlemen.
Bye.
Audios.
Audible adios.